Scott Lang had finally found peace after the chaos of Kang's defeat. He enjoyed spending quiet mornings with Cassie, who was becoming more independent by the day. Life felt normal, filled with laughter, simple breakfasts, and neighborhood walks. But Scott couldn't shake the feeling that his days as Ant-Man weren't truly behind him. Deep down, he wondered if the world would ever let him retire. Cassie was working on her own research with hope, fascinated by the quantum realm and the endless possibilities it held. She was determined to do good, to follow in her father's footsteps, even if Scott worried about her safety. Late nights in the lab brought Cassie closer to discoveries that could change how humanity viewed time itself. Hope encouraged her brilliance, while Scott remained cautious, fearing what could happen if things went wrong. One evening, during a test experiment, Cassie noticed strange fluctuations in her quantum data. It was subtle, but it didn't align with any known patterns. She brought it to Hope, who confirmed that something unusual was happening, something that hinted at a disturbance beyond their understanding. Scott, overhearing them, immediately grew uneasy. Trouble, he thought, had a way of finding their family. Meanwhile, Hank Pym and Janet were working quietly in their own lab, trying to map the deeper layers of the quantum realm. Janet, haunted by her years trapped there, recognized a familiar signature in Cassie's findings. It reminded her of whispers she had once heard while lost in the realm. She confessed to Hank that she feared an old enemy of Kang's might be stirring. Scott tried to downplay the discovery, convincing himself it was just an anomaly. He wanted to protect his family from danger, not drag them into another war. But Cassie insisted they investigate further, eager to prove herself as more than just his daughter. This created tension between them, father and daughter clashing over what it meant to be a hero. Hope, caught in the middle, reminded Scott that Cassie had inherited his courage. The team decided to send a probe into the quantum realm, monitoring the strange signals. At first, everything seemed stable, but suddenly the feed went dark. Before it cut off, they caught a glimpse of an enormous, shifting city buried deep within the void. Janet's face went pale. She had heard legends of it before. The city belonged to Chronos, a being obsessed with bending time to his will. Soon after, San Francisco was hit with bizarre distortions. Moments repeating, time skipping, and people reliving the same events. Scott and Hope suited up, rushing to investigate. They witnessed civilians frozen mid-step, then suddenly moving again in reverse. The timeline itself seemed unstable. Cassie followed despite Scott's protests, eager to prove she was ready for battle. When Chronos revealed himself, his presence was terrifying yet eerily calm. Unlike Kang, he wasn't loud or desperate. He was methodical, a master of patience, weaving time as if it were a thread. He told Scott that their meddling in the quantum realm had awakened him, and now he intended to reshape reality to erase humanity's mistakes. Scott stood firm, though fear lingered behind his mask. The first battle was chaotic, with Chronos using time against them. Every punch was reversed, every blast slowed down. Ant-Man and Wasp fought with grit, but their enemy anticipated every move before it happened. Cassie, however, found a way to disrupt his control briefly using her experimental device. This small victory gave the team hope, though Scott scolded her for risking her life. As the timeline distortions worsened, entire streets flickered between different eras. Dinosaurs roaming for seconds, then vanishing into futuristic skyscrapers. People panicked, the city descending into chaos. Scott realized this fight was bigger than anything he had faced. If they didn't stop Chronos soon, all of time could collapse. He finally accepted that Cassie's intelligence might be the key. They regrouped in Hank and Janet's lab, planning a way to trap Chronos within a time loop of his own making. Cassie refined her device, despite Scott's trembling hands as he helped her. For the first time, Scott saw not just his little girl but a partner standing beside him. Janet revealed that the only way to power the device was by channeling the very essence of the quantum realm itself. The second confrontation took them into the heart of the quantum realm, where time flowed in all directions at once. Chronos awaited them in his city, manipulating illusions of the past and future to confuse them. Scott saw visions of his failures as a father, Hope saw her mother leaving her behind, and Cassie saw herself powerless to save anyone. They had to fight not only Chronos but their own doubts. Scott found strength in his memories, remembering how far he had come from being a small-time thief. Hope held tight to her bond with her parents, rejecting the illusions of abandonment. Cassie remembered every lesson Scott taught her about courage. Together, they broke through Chronos' manipulations and faced him directly. Their unity became their weapon. In a desperate move, Chronos accelerated time around them, aging buildings into dust and reversing rivers into the sky. But Cassie activated her device, anchoring their timeline and weakening his control. Scott and Hope launched their final attack, shrinking Chronos' core technology until it collapsed in on itself. With Cassie's help, they managed to trap him within an endless loop, caught in his own obsession. The quantum realm began to stabilize, though it still pulsed with unknown mysteries. Janet warned that beings like Chronos were only the beginning, that the realm was far deeper than they had ever imagined. Scott looked at Cassie, realizing the future of Ant-Man wasn't just his. It belonged to her too. Their legacy had grown beyond what he ever expected. Returning home, Scott tried to settle into normal life again. He and Cassie shared quiet conversations about responsibility, about what it meant to carry the weight of the world. Hope reminded them both that being a hero wasn't about size or power, it was about heart. Scott finally accepted that his daughter was ready to step into her own destiny. But just when life seemed calm, a flicker appeared in Cassie's quantum scanner. A faint signature, unlike Chronos or Kong, hinted at another lurking presence. Scott sighed, half amused, half worried. "I guess retirement really isn't in the cards for us," he muttered. Cassie only smiled, ready for whatever came next. As the credits rolled, a post-scene revealed Chronos still trapped within his loop, whispering of others who sought to control time. His words hinted at a greater war to come, one that even Ant-Man and his family might not be able to face alone. The seeds of the next Marvel saga had been planted, and the Langs stood unknowingly at its center. Months later, Cassie began mentoring a small group of young scientists inspired by her courage. Together, they brainstormed ways to responsibly explore the quantum realm without repeating past mistakes. Scott watched proudly, though he couldn't ignore the subtle shadow in her eyes. She was preparing for something bigger, something she hadn't told him yet. In the final scene, a mysterious figure cloaked in light observed them from afar within the quantum realm. His voice, calm but commanding, murmured that the Langs were only the first test. With a gesture, he unraveled a small thread of time in his hand, smiling knowingly. The stage for the next chapter of the Marvel Universe was set.